April Levitt here with Continued Improvement, my Spring Hill Elementary story. When we're looking at who we are, I thought I'd start with the ethnicity or lack thereof. You'll notice that we are predominantly white at Spring Hill Elementary, about 88%. The next group that we have is about a 5% Hispanic population, and then African American at 3.5%, and then other would be 3.5% as well. So very predominantly white at my school. When I'm looking at ELL, I looked specifically at Hispanic because I happen to know all of the ELL students. There's not too many of them, about 5 or 6. This year, last year, there was a couple of more. One was an African American who was dismissed this year, and then the remaining were all Hispanic students. So about half of the Hispanic population this year was ELL. I also looked at the economic disadvantaged population, and I actually was quite surprised when I looked at this. I thought that it was going up when in fact it's actually going down. The reason I thought it was going up is because we have quite a few volatile behavior students coming in who are economically disadvantaged. We had about 84 new students this year. We rezoned and we were not supposed to get that many students. However, we estimated to get about 20 and we got about 84, 85 new students. And the majority of them were economically disadvantaged as well as they came with some IEPs, they came with some behavior challenges. So I was actually surprised to see this. Our students with disability is fairly steady. I'm anxious to see what it is in 2019. This year, this was obviously as of last year, they don't have the numbers. So I'm interested to see what that looks like for this year since we had those 85 new students. But we've been fairly steady at about 31% with students with disabilities. We are predominantly male, about 10% more males than females at our schools for our students. When we're looking at the community, race and ethnicity, you can see our school is similar to what it is in the community, about 96% white, and then those that follow. Our housing is approximately $160,000. That's the median for a home. Around us is quite a bit higher. We're on the border of Johnson-Miami County, and the houses are worth a little bit more than where they are here in Spring Hill. Education, you'll notice that most of the residents in our community have a high school degree, not a whole lot of college, some college, but no degrees. And then those degrees that follow represent about the majority, less than the majority of the other population that do not have degrees or college. Looking at the household income, it ranges, it's changed throughout the years, but between 65 and 70,000 would be the median household income. So we're on the lower range here in Spring Hill. Population is rising, however. We are noted to receive about 1,500 more students within the next 4 years. So we've had to pass quite a few bonds. We opened an elementary school this past year. This coming year, we're opening a middle school. We passed another bond where we'll be opening another elementary school in 2 years, a middle school in 3 years, and then we will be looking at trying to pass another bond to either expand or open a second high school as well as another elementary. So we are growing like crazy. People are just moving out to Spring Hill, likely because of that housing is quite a bit lower than elsewhere. We have a lot of young families. You can see that the median is about 30 years of age. So a lot of young families moving in, young kids who are coming to our schools. Our teachers, we have 25 classroom teachers. We added 2 classes this coming year in 2019-20 year. So this coming year, we will have 2 first-year teachers, 1 second-year teacher, and then 3 new to the school. It has been similar to that in years past, as far as teachers coming to the school. So it's fairly steady that way. However, we do have a young group of of teachers. Most of them have approximately 10 years or less of teaching experience. Specials, we have 4 certified teachers and 2 not certified teachers. Don't get me started on that. Those are the computer lab teachers. I do not agree. I don't know why our district does it. I think surrounding districts do it as well. I don't know why we don't have a certified teacher in that. We don't. Don't get me on that soapbox. Special education, we have 7 special education teachers. This coming year, we will have 1 first-year teacher and 2 second-year teachers. One of those second-year teachers taught in the general ed classroom in Texas. So I kind of consider her a second year because moving here, of course, Texas has their own standards. So all new standards here, plus she's in special education versus general education. So she actually came in December. So she's kind of like not even a second year, a half a year under her belt in special education. And then we have 2 title teachers, and we have approximately 2 paras per title and per sped teacher. However, that varies. I mean, it seems like we have an open door, a revolving door policy, not policy, but a revolving door with paras where they come and go and quite a bit. And it's difficult to keep paras. We just don't pay them well enough. And it kind of stinks because we've had some great ones that have left, but approximately 16 to 20. How do we do business? As teachers, we've had staff meetings where we create our mission, our vision, our collective commitments or values. And so I thought I would include the ones that the teachers came up with. Number 1 would be focusing on student learning and use it as a guide for instruction. Number 2, develop and implement instructional methods that push students into higher levels of depth of knowledge. Number 3, initiate individual and small group interventions to provide additional learning time for all students. 4, utilize a variety of approaches to behaviors to promote success for all students. And then number 5, work together interdependently in collaborative teams during PLT or professional learning teams to reach our goals. Now, we implemented these or talked about these this past year. They may change a little bit this coming year as we review them. Do I feel like the teachers really strove to reach these and collectively committed to these? For the most part, I wouldn't say totally. We still need to get teachers more involved and more committed to these and see them as our true values as a PLC school, as a school as we work together. Other ways that we do business, we do have a building leadership team where we discuss the school improvement plan, we discuss the goals, assessment results, different activities, and then they relay the message to their team members. We have staff meetings where we create the mission and vision as well as review the surveys from the teachers and the students. And we have staff meetings for short professional development type times as we review different ways or different things that we're doing within the school. We have our professional learning teams, and then we do help general education teachers help students create goals and try to take responsibility for their learning as well as their behavior. Where are we now? When I'm looking at the state assessments, I look at ELA and math. As a building, we are doing fairly well. These reports are somewhat difficult to view because it seems like they're consistently changing the order in which they're showing the results. But in 2017, as a building, in ELA, we were at 21%. And then we shrunk that for level 1, and we shrunk that at 18% in 2018. So that's great, as well as we're fairly, lower than the district as well as the state. When I'm looking at level 3, and level 4, 2018 as a building, we grew these numbers compared to 2017. I guess level 4 shrunk a little bit. However, then level 3 grew. So we are consistently getting better as a building in ELA. In math would be the same story. We're getting better. We are, we're getting better here. You can see this comparison is a lot better. So we're improving in math, and we are above the state and district in these numbers as well. However, when I look at subgroups, there's a difference. So this is self-paid lunch versus free and reduced lunch. And when we look at these numbers, 2017 as a building, we're at 18% in 2017, while as a building, 11% was self-paid, 19% in level 4 versus 9% in level 4 in free and reduced. When I look at 2018, that number has dropped in level 4 as well as level 3, but as a building for 2018, it actually grew for self-paid lunch to 42 to 20%. So the difference between these two is quite a big deal. Half as many students got a level 1 in self-paid versus free and reduced. So this is a subgroup that is a bit concerning because it's so far below the self-paid lunch. That was for math. ELA, similar story for this self-paid versus free and reduced. We have 26% versus 17, 8% versus 16. So it's a fairly different gap here, 28 compared to 12 and 14 compared to 7. So this is a concerning piece where we need to look at what is happening here. Do they need some social emotional assistance? Do they need some executive functioning? What is happening to make their learning be regressing? I also follow this just with our own assessments that we take something called MAP. And when I'm looking at this, I have created, I don't have 2016, but you can see this is the kindergarten group. And as you see it, as it goes through the years, we're going to be tracking this group of students with this color here. And this is what they scored in the fall, and then we take it in the spring. So in the fall, they jumped up quite a bit, but then when we look at the next year, they actually dropped a percentage. They went from 76% to 75%. And if that continues to happen, if we keep dropping, then those students are losing learning here, and this is in math. So when I'm looking at spring again, 85% to 69%, this is a concerning piece. Why is this happening? And so we need to look at what is happening between these grades. Is the instruction obviously isn't meeting their needs, but why? I also look at these with the teachers, and then the teachers have set goals according to what they're getting. So that, for example, the second grade teachers have set a goal that they're going to get this first grade group at 80% next year by the spring. You'll notice that they were at 76% in kindergarten. So by second grade, hopefully that they have grown. This is students that are at or above grade level. So obviously we're trying to move students to be at grade level. That was in math. This is in reading. Similar results here. We have groups where they're either stagnant. This from second grade to third grade dropped drastically. Do I think it's the students? Do I think it's the teachers? We have a group of very new teachers in third grade. So I think it's the teachers. They need some professional development. They need people working with them and assisting them in their instruction. These are DRs, or discipline referrals. We're tracking these as a whole. We're tracking these per grade level. And this would show us this discipline. Are students taking responsibility for their behaviors? Are teachers teaching before they're giving a discipline referral? In our school, a discipline referral is actually a consequence where we really try to focus on helping them understand what they're doing and why they're doing it and why it's not okay, and help them take responsibility. Consequences are just a consequence, but we want them to actually learn rather than just throwing a consequence at them. So tracking these, helping the teachers see them. I tracked it to the years total, K4, and then as you can see, what happened here? We have K4 and this same group of students that are now 1-5 this year, huge jump. So something is going on here with this group of students. Now we did get 84 new students. Several came from alternative schools and foster schools. These alternative schools are behavior schools. So that probably put a big impact on these. However, we still want to look at why is this happening. So this is the mission that the teachers came up with. It is the mission of Spring Hill Elementary to provide foundational skills for staff and students that build upon each other to support the whole child so all students can learn to high levels. As we discussed results of surveys and results of assessments and so forth, we talked about how we felt students were not getting foundational skills, the proper phonics skills that our curriculum provided. So we're looking at alternative ways to get that, but also foundational skills and social emotional learning. If you don't have that social emotional learning, they're not going to be able to learn, and it doesn't support the whole child. So it's our mission. Why do we exist? This is what we're doing right now to try and support that whole child so that students can learn to high levels. Where do we want to be? It is the vision of Spring Hill Elementary to be a safe, supportive, and positive environment that empowers all students to learn at high levels and become successful citizens. Once again, this is what the teachers created. We all felt that we had a safe environment. However, when looking at surveys from students felt that they were bullied more than what we felt was okay at the school. I have those results. I didn't have them at my fingertips when I created this. However, we do take those, we look at those, and we discuss that, we need to improve that. So how do we help the students feel safe? We might feel safe. We feel like the students should feel safe, but obviously they don't. So we need to address that and help with the social emotional training in order for them to feel safe and supported and positive. Where are gaps? Our subgroups are not learning the foundational skills in reading and math specifically. Our whole group instruction seems to be lacking. Social emotional well-being of students is stagnant, and student learning, according to our map and according to those things, it's declining. And our professional development in these foundational skills is lacking as well. So how can we get to where we want to be? We need to improve our whole group instruction. Once we do that, we can identify more accurately students for the RTI intervention, implement an executive functioning training for students, implement social and emotional learning for students as well as staff, responsibility-centered discipline training for students and teachers, and then collaborate MPLTs with general education, special education, and title, and it all should be centered around student learning. How will we implement this? Professional development centered around teaching ELA, writing, and math. Bring people in to help teachers improve their teaching as well as find ways for them to go to professional development so that they can improve their teaching. We will have staff meetings that are centered around responsibility-centered discipline. So this is the training that students get to take responsibility for their behaviors and the learning so that creates a learning piece versus just a consequence piece. 30 minutes of specials will include executive function training as well as social emotional learning for students. So we're implementing that in our curriculum so that they have a foundation of social emotional well-being and being able to have those executive functioning skills. Establish PLT norms that include working together and working on the right work. The right work is the key thing in PLTs, where it should be centered around evaluating student learning, not just planning what it is that you're teaching, but having discussions around that. How will we evaluate our efforts? Students and staff surveys, and how students are feeling safe, seeing that improvement. The RCD referrals, how many are being referred, how many plans are being created by the students, and if they are working. We'll know if they are working because discipline referrals hopefully and should go down. Once the learning is occurring, if they're learning, then they shouldn't have to have these consequences. So then the consequences should be dropping. And then of course, assessment results if teachers are working together and meeting about student learning and trying to improve how they're teaching and what they're teaching in order to meet those students' needs, then assessments results should be improved. here are the resources that I came up with reporting all of the charts and data.